Hi everyone, today on the content we're looking at the words called objection handling. I repeat myself, objection handling, and how that sits and packs in the personal developmental journey in alignment with my three favorite pillars called the mental, the physical, and the spiritual. Why am I speaking about objection handling today? And it's something that a lot of us are very poor at. Generally, I just feel maybe it's an African thing or a Nigerian thing, but I feel like Nigerians generally, we don't know how to handle criticism. That's when I mean criticism, I mean constructive criticism, right? And that's why I decided that let's create something that would shed light on how to manage what I then coined objection handling, which is another word for constructive criticism, right? I know when I was growing up, and even till about just a couple of years ago before I started the personal developmental journey, I didn't know how to manage a remark on my performance, or maybe your boss is trying to set you straight or trying to correct something you've done wrong. Most of my first inclination would be that the person doesn't like me, one, or the second inclination would be that the person is jealous of me, or the person is envious of me, or the person just doesn't want anything good for me. But when I started the personal development journey, I started to, there was a huge paradigm shift in terms of the way I was now looking at these, this objection handling type situations to better understand that, the truth about it is that, and this is just an example. Imagine you work with your boss and your boss gave you an assignment, gave you a task, and for some reason you did not perform properly. Now, if he has a one-on-one with you, when I mean a one-on-one, a meeting where it's just the both of you in a room to maybe probably review some of the work you've done, or your outcomes or your results, he would start to outline these areas of corrections that you need to look into. But because of our upbringing, because of the environment we live in, we will not listen to these areas of correction. There's already a wall, there's an invisible wall that we've already built between, myself and my boss. That's just, this wall is just in between that just says, I'm not, he doesn't like me, he doesn't want to see me do well, he hates me, maybe probably wants to get rid of me, wants to sack me, whatever. But when you change it and you actually listen to the areas that you need to correct, and not just only listen, but you also go back to the drawing board or go back to your re-strategization table and rework these things, you find out that you will become a better individual. But you see, most of the time, and this is generally what happens most of the time, it might not even be your boss, it might be your colleague, it might be your spouse, it might be a family member, it might be just someone, an acquaintance on the road, or a friend, whatever it will be. Your first reaction is to be defensive. So first of all, you're going to be like, but they're trying to correct you, but instead of you to listen, you're going to be going like, no, but you cut this person short. You try to, establish your areas of you try to establish your areas of where you felt like you did proper, as opposed to this person that is outside looking inwards into some task or project that you've worked on. Two different perspectives. You already know your perspective. I know my perspective. I know what I'm bringing to the table. So why don't you just take out that 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds and listen to the other person's perspective. This other person can be in the form of your boss, colleague, family, friend, whatever, but take your perspective on whatever we're trying to analyze, and also, most importantly and critically, take the perspective of the second party involved in this critical analysis. Now, when you take the both of them together, listen, and not only listen, but go back and work on these areas that this other individual, this second party, has highlighted. We don't do that. In fact, we don't even get to the point of listening to the second party. We just go with a defensiveness. We just go with an argumentative defensiveness, trying to just sit and trying to just say, hey, this is the situation, and all we just do is beat down, and we never ever move forward. Today on the content, if you're such an individual who your first line of action is to be defensive, I want you to take a step back today and listen. Listen to what these people, these second parties, are trying to tell you in accordance with whatever we're trying to review. And once you have heard these things, go back and try and work on them. And instead, most importantly, instead of trying to be argumentative, why don't you listen and use words like this? I've heard you, I will work on it. I see your concerns, I'll get back to you on them. I love your objectiveness, and I promise to, fix them or work on them. Once you start to make these statements, once you start to look at life in this angle, trust me, your relationships would be in a very good place. So digital influencer, we're all guilty of it. I am, but I can tell you for a fact today that I make that mistake less often. So digital influencer, in my usual fashion, let's be all we have been created to be, and I will see you, definitely you, at the top. Cheers.